Alrighty boys, welcome back to another step-by-step video. Now today's video is going to be on Grim. And now the important thing that I wanted to talk about today when it comes to Grim is that I want you guys to understand that Grim is an operator who excels in the mid-round, or essentially like when you're trying to set up a push for the late round. Does that make sense? So you're trying to get into a position where you're going to be going for the plant, or you're trying to get to that position where you have a win con. Does that make sense? So he's essentially going to be a mid-round operator that you want to be using to essentially open up the late round. Does that make sense? So for example, I've got 3 clips here that I want to show you guys that I had on Oregon. Now, these are all going to be slightly different from each other. However, they're all going to be in the essence the same concept, where I'm going to be using Grim to essentially transition our team into the late round position where, and just to like make it simple for you guys, the late round position that we're going to be going for is we're going to be wanting to take control of pillar / bunker, specifically for elbow. However, if we aren't able to get elbow, the main priority is going to be to take for pillar and to try to get a default plant for site. Now, one tip that I really want to give you guys when it comes to operators like Grim, Ying, Capital, operators like that, where like they're very strong in the mid-round positions, is to picture in your head basically like a position that you want to get into with the rest of your team where you think you'll be able to win the round. Those are going to be the positions that you want to be using Grim to get control of, because those are going to be the high traffic locations that the enemy team is going to try to stop you from getting into. Now you're going to see here, we have the meeting hatch open here. I'm going to go ahead and start being out for a site here, and I'm going to go ahead and use my bailiff so I can get tucked into the corner of Harry Potter here. Essentially in this position, we're making it impossible for the enemy team to play pillars, so which is actually going to allow us to drop the hatch. Now, the really important thing that I want to talk about when it comes to Grim is that whenever you use your Grim Bees, you're actually creating a lot of audio, if that makes sense. So whenever you drop like a hatch or something, it's actually very, very difficult for that enemy team to hear you drop the hatch in this type of position. Now, if there's not someone actively watching it, that's going to essentially make you be in a position where you're going to be able to get easy kills as you drop the hatch. Now, the same thing about the Grim Bees making audio can actually apply during a plant as well. So like, for example, if you toss Grim Bees out during a plant, what's going to actually end up happening is the bees are going to mask the audio of the plant, which is going to actually cause the enemy team to not hear it. So like, for example, on like a map like Bank, for example, when you are pushing the basement bomb site and you open up the server wall and you're going to be making a plant inside a CCTV on the default wall, if you can just get a couple bees out onto the site, what's going to actually end up happening is the people that are looking for the nitro aren't actually going to be able to hear the default plant going down. Now right here, this is going to be getting into our second clip now. Now typically when I go for this meeting push with Grim, I'm going to be joining out Big Tower first. Now sometimes, depending on if I'm solo queue or if I'm not solo queue, I might leave this to somebody else to do, and I'll just mostly focus on like doing stage, doing like double door, doing backstairs, that type of thing. So it really just depends on if I'm in a stack or not, but 9 times out of 10 I'll try to toss my drone up to T3 to try to check to see if anybody's up there, and if not, then I'll let somebody else do it and focus mostly on getting like backstairs intel, pillar intel, meeting intel, kitchen hallway intel, that type of thing, and just try to make sure it's overall clear for the walk-in. Now right here, I'm going to go ahead and drone up quite a little bit here for backstairs. I'm not going to see anybody close whatsoever, so I'm going to go ahead and run up to the doorway. There's nobody close, so that means I can get back on my drone really close to the doorway, and then we're going to go ahead and drone out meeting. We're going to see nobody's inside a meeting, so in this position, we're going to go ahead and walk up so we can try to go ahead and get the hatch. Same thing happened again here where my Haban is going to go ahead and open up the hatch. Kind of unnecessary, but it's okay. We're going to go ahead and once again be out pillar here. We're going to try to make it really difficult for the enemy team to play pillar, and then we're going to go ahead and be out Harry Potter, be out deep pillar here. And then once again, we're going to go ahead and drop because there's no actual place where the enemy team can play inside a pillar. And then right here, this is a little bit different this time. We're actually playing a little bit safer this time before we go send it into sight. And right here, I'm going to go ahead and be for elbow. And then we're going to go ahead and just swing aggressively for the site here now, because once nobody's like contesting me on the drop, that pretty much allows me to just walk into sight whenever I want. So I'm able to essentially chalk out a couple Bs over by the rotate hole for them. And that actually enables me to go for a very aggressive challenge in this position to get myself an easy triple kill right there. Another thing I wanted to mention when it comes to Grim is that you shouldn't be afraid of using the Bailiff. And the reason why is because while it isn't like the best pistol in the game, it is actually really strong in the close range if you can spam it. Like if you can get away with spamming it on somebody, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get the kill. So I do highly recommend if you are in that position where you get a kill, maybe get another kill with your primary gun, and you need to get that final kill, but you know exactly where he is and he's in close range, then I highly recommend to get onto that Bailiff and use the Bailiff to get yourself that last kill, because it honestly isn't really that bad, and 9 times out of 10, if you can just spam it on somebody for body shots, you'll usually get the kill regardless. One thing that's really important to note is that with shotguns, in general, you don't have a headshot multiplier. And what I mean by that when it comes to a headshot multiplier is that when your bullets hit somebody in the head with a shotgun, it's not going to do any extra bonus damage. So it's better, you're better off just going for the body shot. Now right here you're going to see that instead of going towards meeting right away, I actually looked for a walk down for back stairs this time. And the reason why I did that is because the enemy team was running a warden, and the warden was actually preventing us from going for a like back stairs push whatsoever. And for this pillar push, you do need somebody to eventually walk down back stairs. However, the main goal that you want to be looking for when you are playing Grim is to look for that hatch drop. You're going to see here my Habana is going to go ahead and drop, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop as well. Now what's going to end up happening here, instead of swinging for sight right away, I'm going to go ahead and actually look towards elbow since my Twitch actually dies on the bunker doorway. This is going to essentially open up a gap in the enemy team now that I can walk down for elbow after I killed out on my. However, since I got that kill on my, I'm just going to go ahead and rotate back to pillar here. I'm going to be off elbow, and then we're going to go ahead and make a hole on the pillar here so that way we can do a cover cross for the default plant. Last guy's a Mira. He's actually inside a kill box in this position. He's going to end up making a rotate into laundry here in a second, and I'm going to get audio for this. So I'm like, okay, you know what I'm going to do, since we're in a nice 3v1 position, my teammates are playing nice and safe, they're not playing overly aggressive, I'm going to go ahead and just get aggressive in this position because it's pretty much GG's on the spot. Right here I actually hit him a little bit with some bullets, so I'm going to go ahead and just walk down the hallway. He's going to swing me, I'm going to crouch mid gunfight so that way he shoots over the top of my head, and I get myself a very easy kill to secure the round right there. Now this next clip is going to be over on Clubhouse. Now this is the really important round that I feel like Grim is really strong on, especially for this bomb site. Now the important thing that I want to talk about with Grim is that when you use utility like Grim, when you use utility like Ying, you actually will, how do I explain this, like demand attention to wherever you're grimming or yinging. Does that make sense? So you're going to demand presence from the enemy team towards wherever you grim or ying. Does that make sense? So like, for example, what that means is like if I shoot Grimbies into sight on Clubhouse or on Oregon, on Pillar, whatever, I'm basically sending a message to the enemy team like, hey, a play is going to be made from this position if you don't look towards the bees. Does that make sense? So the idea that we want to do here is that we're actually going to play on this thought process, and instead of going for an immediate B play where we go and essentially drop off of our Bs, we're going to actually use that as a means of misdirection. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do, and I apologize for saying does that make sense so much, but what we're going to do is we're essentially going to be out the bomb site, but what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to use that as a fake out, and we're going to be using that to drop a different hatch. So in this clip, what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and open up the stock hatch. Once we open up the stock hatch, we're going to want to open up the moto hatch. All I'm doing in this clip, by the way, so far is I'm just joining out for my teammates so that way they can take some space. It's very important to have a strong roam clear in this game. I think it's probably the most important concept to do in this game. However, the one thing I do want to say is this mid-round stuff, especially for some certain bomb sites like this church basement bomb site, you do really need a strong roam clear as well as a strong mid game as well to enter into that late game. So what we're going to do here is we're going to be for blue now in this position. Like I said though, we're going to be using this as a fake out tech, and we're going to essentially be making it seem like a very heavy blue push is coming. And don't get me wrong, I do believe some of my teammates are going to try to push for blue here. However, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to actually use this as an opportunity to drop for the moto hatch here, and all we're going to be doing here is swinging very aggressively. You're going to see here I'm going to catch one guy in the back, get ourselves one free kill, then we're going to get another kill swinging through moto to kill Doc, and then right here we pretty much have sight at this point for church, so we're going to go ahead and make a hole into church here to go ahead and look for some kind of default plant. My teammate's going to go rotate into the default plant. Last guy's in blue, he's going to rotate onto the mannequin. I'm going to swing aggressively to get the last kill and secure the round. Hope you guys enjoyed today's step-by-step video. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys into the next one. Peace!